Let's be honest, trenching and excavation are some of the most hazardous jobs in all of construction. The line between a normal day and a complete disaster can come down to just a few critical pieces of knowledge. So today, we're going to put your knowledge to the test. We've got a 10-question quiz pulled straight from OSHA's Subpart P regulations. Let's see if you've got what it takes to keep a site safe. And this is why it all matters. A trench wall isn't just loose dirt. It's a massive, unstable weight hanging over your head. A single cubic yard of soil can weigh more than 3,000 pounds. That's like having a small car ready to drop on you. A collapse is instantaneous, and survival is frankly unlikely. So the point of this quiz isn't just to get a good score, it's to reinforce the rules that prevent this from ever happening. So, the big question is, are you ready? Could what you know be the one thing that prevents a tragedy on your job site? You know, whether you're a seasoned safety pro or you're studying for your OSHA 10 or 30-hour card, this is the perfect way to really check your grasp on the essentials. We've broken this down into 3 key areas. First up, we're going to talk about the most important role on any excavation site, the competent person. Then we'll get into the dirt, literally, and talk about soil classification. And finally, we'll cover the hard and fast numbers you have to know inside that trench. After that, you can tally up your score. Okay, let's kick things off with the absolute linchpin of trench safety, the competent person. It's not just a fancy title, it's a critical job with some very serious responsibilities. These first couple of questions are all about their most essential duties and authority. All right, question number 1. Picture this. Your crew shows up Monday morning, but it rained hard all weekend. The trench is still open. As the designated competent person, what is your absolute first non-negotiable task? Is it A, start the dewatering pump, B, inspect the excavation, or C, reclassify the soil? Think about it for a second. The correct answer is B, inspect the excavation. And the why on this is so important. OSHA Regulation 1926.651 is crystal clear. An inspection is mandatory before every single shift, as needed throughout the day, and absolutely required after any event that could increase the danger, like a rainstorm. You don't pump, you don't reclassify, you don't let a single person in that trench until you have personally inspected it for changes. Okay, question 2. So let's say during that very inspection, the competent person spots some tension cracks near the edge of the trench, a huge red flag for a collapse. What's the single most important attribute they must have in that moment? Is it A, 10 years of experience, B, the ability to operate an excavator, or C, the authority to stop work immediately? And the answer is C. This really gets to the heart of OSHA's definition. See, a competent person isn't just someone who can spot a hazard. They are someone who has been given explicit authorization by their employer to stop the entire job and take immediate action. Without that power, in the eyes of OSHA, they are not a competent person. Knowledge and authority have to go hand in hand. All right, so we've established just how crucial the competent person is. Now let's talk about what they're looking at, the soil itself. Every single safety decision you make, how you slope the walls, what kind of shoring you use, it all starts with one thing, correctly identifying the soil type.
Question 3 for you. You do a quick test with a pocket penetrometer on a soil sample, and it gives you a reading of 1.0 tons per square foot, or TSF. Based on that number alone, is that soil A, type A, B, type B, or C, type C?
The answer is B, type B. This little table here shows you the breakdown. Type A is your most stable soil, with a compressive strength of 1.5 TSF or higher. Type C is the least stable, at 0.5 TSF or less. Our reading of 1.0 falls right in that middle zone, making it type B. You've got to know these numbers. Question 4 is all about a visual cue. You're looking at the trench wall, and you can physically see water seeping out of the soil. What does that one observation do to your soil classification? Does it A, require more testing, B, have no effect on the classification, or C, automatically classify it as type C? The correct answer is C. It automatically becomes type C soil. This is a critical override rule. It doesn't matter what your other tests said. It doesn't matter if it looks like solid clay. The moment you have seeping water, or if you know the soil has been dug up before, it's type C. Full stop. You have to treat it as the most dangerous material you can work with. All right, moving on to our final section, we're going from identifying hazards to applying the rules. These are what I call the rules of the trench, the specific, non-negotiable numbers from OSHA that you have to follow on every single job, no exceptions. So let's start with question 5. This one's simple, but so important. You've dug your trench, and you've got that big pile of excavated dirt, the spoil pile. What is the absolute minimum distance you have to keep that pile from the edge of the trench? Is it A, 1 foot, B, 2 feet, or C, 5 feet? The answer is B, 2 feet. And that number isn't just random. Keeping the spoil pile back at least 2 feet does 2 crucial things. First, it stops loose dirt and rocks from rolling back into the trench on top of your crew. And second, it reduces the surcharge load. That's the extra weight pressing down on the ground right next to the trench wall, which could easily trigger a cave-in. Question 6 is about getting out fast in an emergency. OSHA says that in any trench 4 feet deep or more, you must have a safe way to get out, like a ladder or a ramp. So the question is, how close does that exit need to be? What's the maximum horizontal distance a worker can be from a ladder at any given time? Is it A, 50 feet, B, 25 feet, or C, 100 feet? And the answer is 25 feet. What this means is that a worker should never have to scramble more than 25 feet in either direction to get to a ladder. When things go wrong, every single second counts, and this rule makes sure a safe exit is always just a few steps away. Okay, now for a quick 2-part question about depth. First, for question 7, at what depth does OSHA demand a protective system like shoring or a trench box in any soil that isn't solid rock? The answer, 5 feet. The moment you hit 5 feet deep, protection is no longer optional, it's mandatory. Now for question 8, at what depth does that protective system have to be designed by a registered professional engineer? The answer there is 20 feet. Anything deeper than 20 feet requires a custom engineered plan. And here we are, our final 2 questions. Let's start with number 9. You know how you can cut stair steps into the side of an excavation? That's called benching. Which soil type is so unstable that you can never bench it? The answer is type C. It's just too loose, it won't hold that shape. And last but not least, question 10. Before you even think about breaking ground, what is the federally designated number you have to call to get underground utilities marked? The answer is 811. Always call 811 before you dig. It's the very first step to a safe job. And that's it. 10 questions down. You made it through the quiz. Seriously, thanks for taking a few minutes to test your safety knowledge. Now, let's see how you did. Go ahead and add up your correct answers. What was your score? Were there any questions that tripped you up? Don't be shy, drop your score out of 10 in the comments. We genuinely love to see how everyone did and which topics were the trickiest.
Hey, no matter what your final score was, if you remembered nothing else, please burn these key rules into your memory. An empowered, competent person must inspect the site daily. Spoil piles stay 2 feet back from the edge. Ladders are required in any trench 4 feet or deeper. Protection is mandatory at 5 feet. And an exit must always be within 25 feet of every worker. These are the numbers that save lives.
If you want to learn more about workplace safety and OSHA rules, subscribe to HSE's study.